you develop this flexibility, but you also develop a metabolic efficiency. And that's an area that I think we can talk a lot about.
Mark Sisson, What I Eat in a Day, take 27. Okay, it's a continued journey, isn't it, to try to refine and optimize and also enjoy your life and live awesome.
I mean, at the end of the day, the most important part of that is the last part, to enjoy your life and live awesome. So in my mind, the notion that we have to have a way of eating that is prescriptive and a template for everybody, I've realized that doesn't work. So, I started out with the primal blueprint. I still feel very strongly that we should eat in an ancestral pattern, which honors the genetic recipe that was forged in a crucible of 2.5 million years of human evolution.
Besides that, not validated very well.
Not yet.
Carry on.
No. I mean, it's the primal blueprint was a great starting point, and I guess my own evolution was simply to try and find ways to even improve on that. So if I'd done nothing but eat primally for the rest of my life, 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, cut the grains, lots of vegetables, some fruits, healthy fats, I'm sure I'd be very healthy and happy and content to go about my day. But as you know, a couple of years in, we started exploring the whole keto aspect of this. And so we said, okay, is there like a level 2 paleo? Is there a level 2 primal where you can do even more to optimize your metabolism and your energy levels and your strength and power and speed and longevity, increase your longevity? And that sort of that became this multi-year exploration into keto, which was great, and we learned a lot. And we learned from that, that the real holy grail here is metabolic flexibility. It's the achieving of this metabolism that is not just flexible. In other words, it doesn't just get energy from the calories on your plate of food. It doesn't just get energy from the fat on the meat that you're eating or the olive oil that you're eating, or it doesn't just get calories from the fat stored in your muscles or on your fat cells. It doesn't just get calories from the carbohydrates, the glycogen that's stored in your muscle, the glucose in your bloodstream, the carbohydrate on your plate of food, the ketones made by your liver, but it gets calories from a mixture of these depending on the context. Like what are you doing to require energy right now? If you're just walking through the day, then you can get all your energy from fat, if you're good at burning fat. If you're not good at burning fat and you're a sugar burner and you haven't developed that metabolic flexibility, you have a problem and it's going to catch up to you. Developing metabolic flexibility is the holy grail of health. And how do you achieve this ability to derive energy from whatever substrate of energy is available to you at the time? We started out by saying keto is the best way, right? If you withhold carbohydrate and the body gets the message that there's not going to be any more glucose for a while, and so you're going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to learn how to burn fat. You're going to have to create more mitochondria in the muscles. When you withhold the glucose and you give these signals to the body, that's one way of creating this flexibility. But another way would be to just not eat, right? If you went on a regular sort of program of fasting. It's a little bit more rigorous. It's a little bit more, I would say, painful to do it that way. But you can develop metabolic flexibility that way. You can develop metabolic flexibility by adding in some hard training, right? If you pick some hard training, some hard workouts and throw those in and do them, for instance, while you're fasted, the body will get the message. I got to start learning how to burn fat better. I got to start learning how to use ketones more efficiently and more effectively. And so over time, you develop this flexibility, but you also develop a metabolic efficiency. And that's an area that I think we can talk a lot about because some of your latest exploration that looks at, maybe it's a point at which we're eating too little food.
Personally, I'm rethinking the role of a restrictive diet in my life because a restrictive diet is a form of stress to the body. As soon as I'm done with the activity, I will slam a giant bowl of fruit and a huge protein, high energy smoothie.
Or we shouldn't be going regular periods of 16 or 18 hours a day without eating. In other words, intermittent fasting isn't necessarily the be-all and the end-all. So we should look at the concept of metabolic efficiency, where the body is efficiently using the calories, and sort of by that, I'll give you an example. So many people who are trying to lose weight complain that they have a slow metabolism, and that their goal in life is to speed their metabolism up. I want to have a fast metabolism so that I can burn off the calories. I want to go to the gym and build a fast metabolism so I can eat more food, right? And that brings up that whole thought experiment about, most people live their lives seeing how much food they can eat and not gain weight, right? How much of this meal can I eat and not feel like a slob or a slug? How much of this dessert can I eat and not, have... So we see what we can get away with. Well, the opposite of that is to look at it and go, if I'm really efficient at my burning of calories, what's the least amount of food I can eat? Still maintain muscle mass, still maintain energy, not get sick, and most importantly, not get hungry, because the hunger part throws everything off, right? So if you look at metabolic efficiency and you say, I've developed the metabolic flexibility, I'm metabolically efficient, so I don't even need to eat that much, and so let's stop there, and I would ask you, so if I get to that point where I realize I don't even need to eat that much to maintain muscle mass, maintain energy, not get sick, and not get hungry, are you going to tell me that's a bad thing?
Well, you just brought up an interesting point, and it's the first time I've thought about it in this direction. When you talk about how much to eat and how many calories, we're assuming all calories are equal, and it's this many 100 calories, and it goes in your body, and you're going to get fat if you eat too many calories. So if you talk about metabolic efficiency, it's having the most nutritious diet so that you can use that food for energy rather than get blocked up by eating too many industrial seed oils and all the things we know about that. And so the most metabolically efficient diet, you just defined it, where you feel great, muscle mass, all those things, and it doesn't necessarily correlate to how many calories you're eating. That's why this guy survives on so little food, because everything he eats is absolutely top quality. I just figured him out. Because if you hang around with Mark for a few days, you end up sneaking dark chocolate into your room and all that kind of thing. You eat extremely high quality diet, and you don't overeat, and you don't go looking for pints of ice cream at night. I've watched. You don't do it. There's none there anyway. But you don't need it because you had the fabulous steak and everything was, you figured out what works for you, it seems like.
Okay, so to put that in context, I don't eat a perfect diet. I eat some stuff that I would consider crap once in a while.
Right, you can handle it so easily.
I can handle it. Again, that goes back to metabolic flexibility.
Efficiency, flexibility.
Right. I sometimes overeat. But I compensate by some days eating far less than you would think would be sufficient to keep me going. So at the end of a week, I would look at the input over a week, not day to day or meal to meal.
Especially protein.
Especially protein. So when you said, when we look at caloric requirements, I'm one of the first guys that said 25 years ago, why are we even assigning a value of caloric value to protein? The first 40 grams of protein you eat should never be combusted. It should be used to build enzymes and to build muscle tissue and all the tissues of the body. So why would we even assign a caloric value to protein?
Right.
Now, certainly to fat, certainly to carbohydrate. But if we start looking at the types of fat, there's certain types of fat that are going to be incorporated into
you can't burn them
into membranes, so you don't burn them well. So even fat shouldn't be assigned. Like you shouldn't think in terms of everything you eat as calories. So when people say it's really simple, it's a matter of calories in, calories out. You add up the number of calories that are assigned to the foods that you ate, and as long as you burned off more than that, you will lose weight. It is so more nuanced than that.
We don't even know how many calories we burn. Those things are inaccurate, right?
Correct.
So the food values are inaccurate even when it says this many calories.
So if you had an equation where you said, okay, we're going to reassign caloric values to different types of food, and literally on a daily basis, we're going to give some protein 0 calories and some protein 4 calories. We're going to give some fat 0 calories and some 9. You'd still come up with an equation that didn't depends so much on calories in, calories out. It's calories stored versus calories burned. It is such a much more nuanced equation than gross calories. I mean, convince me that 2,000 calories of Oreos is exactly the same as 2,000 calories of grass-fed ribeye, a sweet potato, 2 salads, and a piece of fish.
Yeah, I mean, in the Primal Blueprint, you talked about the thermic effect of certain foods and how, maybe if we're well nourished, we're tapping our feet all day long and we're jumping up to go run over to the office cupboard and get a Post-it note and trotting on back and high energy and high brain function versus feeling burnt out and reaching for more food that's not burned easily for energy, and that's all going to be stored as fat.
And the thermic effect of food. I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. The fact that the body has ways to try to get rid of excess calories.
Yeah.
And so one way is to store it. Let's just take it and store it. Let's try to burn it off immediately. And another way is let's just ramp up the metabolism. And so when I was a endurance athlete and I was running, let's just say I was running 15 miles a day, because I was, on average. Well, that's 1,500 calories, right? Now, if you look at the 1,500, it's not 15,000 calories a day. It's 15 miles a day is 1,500 calories of work, and then add in, let's just say 2,000 calories of basal metabolic rate, which is pretty high. That's now we're at 3,500 calories. Well, I was eating 6,000 calories a day in those days.
And not getting fat.
And not getting fat.
Yeah.
So where did it go? It literally was being like energy, thermic effect. It was my body was running, revving high all night long.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at a Ferrari sitting at a stoplight, revving at 9,000 RPMs, yes, it can do it.
Yeah.
It sounds good, but is it good for the car? Right? So you want to rev. In my world, in my thinking about this, metabolic efficiency is as important as metabolic flexibility because you want to rev at the lowest level possible. And sometimes it manifests itself like people would say, oh my God, doc, I went to the doctor and he said, I've got low thyroid and T3 and he's concerned about it. I'm like, well, how do you feel? Well, I feel great. I mean, are you losing weight? Nope, not losing weight, not gaining weight. I'm not cold at night, not losing hair. I feel good, skin feels good. But the doc's concerned because my T3 is low. I'm like, that is like, you win the lottery. Like, I'm suggesting that you're the Ferrari that's idling at 900 RPMs at the light, not 7,000 when you're at rest. So I'm more and more interested in finding out and wanting to discover and see, the results of testing on this concept that we can become more efficient at burning our calories. And we don't have to continuously amp up our metabolism to burn more calories in the pursuit of longevity and health, which some people are saying, right? This is not to say, you know me, I go back to day one saying the most important element of longevity is muscle mass, right? So you want to build muscle mass, and you want the muscle mass to burn calories and generate heat. But it doesn't mean you have to develop a fast metabolism.
It doesn't mean you have
for
to
the
be
sake of
bodybuilder size.
Yeah.
So you have functional muscle mass appropriate, and you carry that with you as long as you can.
No, but off camera, we had this discussion just a little while ago. Bodybuilders, what is their rate limiting factor? What is a bodybuilder's rate limiting factor?
For how big they can get is how much food they can eat.
Much they can,
not how many weight they can lift.
Not how much weight they can lift. At the end of the day, they can't get any bigger because they can't eat any more food without throwing up all the time.
Same with triathlete.
Yeah.
Or Tour de France guy.
Right.
How do they get faster and stronger?
Right.
It's limited by their caloric intake.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we talk about a bodybuilder whose rate limiting factor is basically the amount of food he can eat, and it stops there, what it tells you is that person is carrying way too much extra muscle and is having to work way too hard to maintain it. So if that bodybuilder cut the calories back, even if they kept lifting, they would lose the muscle mass. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing because
for health.
Not it's a good thing. Not for the sport.
On stage.
Yeah, but throw in some Diana Ball and some trenbolone and stuff.
Overriding factors.
Right,
to improve
overriding
their,
factors. Right. But the point is, so even here's a good example. I'm in France this summer. I'm walking every day, 6 to 12 miles. I'm actually running more this summer than I have in 25 years.
The summer of '88 when Mark was out there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I was eating a fair amount, and I lost weight. Because I have to work just to maintain this 168-pound body, because I'm basically, a 151-pound guy.
Right.
My genetics is skinny, so I have to spend time at the gym. I have to lift, and I have to eat enough to keep my body mass up. But if I doubled the amount I ate, I wouldn't put on any more muscle. I've tried that, and it doesn't work. So there's a point at which I've got sort of what I would say my ideal body composition, my ideal caloric intake over a week, not from meal to meal, but over a week, because that's all it counts. You have these storage depots in your body, and the body, all the good things happen to your body when you're not eating. You have to eat. You have to put the calories in. You have to put the nutrients in. You have to put the building blocks in, but you don't have to put them all in with regularity every 2 or 3 hours every day, all day long, without fail, or else you'll cannibalize your tissue. Your body has an incredible ability to hold on to amino acids. So there's this amino acid pool, this amino acid sink in the body that, ironically, when you're keto or when you're fasting, this whole system goes into overdrive and retains these amino acids for repair. It doesn't want to combust them, it retains them for repair. And so we enter this kind of closed loop system where we're burning our own stored body fat for energy. Some of the triglycerols, the triglycerides are being spun off to make enough glucose to feed some of the cells that need glucose. You're making enough ketones to feed the brain. And the amino acids are being recycled for repair and not being combusted and not being pissed out in the urine like they normally would if you're eating, if you're consuming 140, 150, 160 grams of protein a day. So back to this efficiency thing. I really want to explore this efficiency thing because I don't think people have looked into it closely enough. Okay, that's enough on that.
We're looking now.